Hello dear Ronins, welcome to Ronin Hood. Today it will be a review about the Ronin Dojo Pro number 19. This Dojo Pro number 19 is a 1060 carbon steel. It's the 69 centimeters Nagasa and it's a 1150 grams, so it close from the same weight than the Prac GL. Unboxing. So the Ronin Dojo Pro has a really beautiful design, that's why I chose it, and I was a little bit curious about how it can react because it's come from the US-China market and it's really difficult to find it in Europe. The price is $300, but if you want to have it in Europe you have to pay $200 in plus. It has a black design with a engraved tsuba, and the colors are black and gold. For me, it's the ideal look of my favorite type of shinken. Measurements. The Nagasa is 69 centimeters. It's my size. It's for a person between 1 meter 60 centimeters and 1 meter 65 centimeters. It's 1.8 centimeters for the sori. It's a quite classic regular sori. Point of balance is a 12.7 centimeters. It's a regular and classic type of point of balance. It will be, from my experience, every models that have that point of balance are a little bit heavy. I prefer when it's 14 centimeters point of balance from the tsuba. The weight is 1157 grams. It's almost the same weight than the Prac GL. Motohaba 3.15 centimeters. Motokasane 7.25 millimeters. Sakihaba 2.3 centimeters. And Saki Kasane 5.5 millimeters. At this moment, from my perception, every swords that decreased as minimum from the Moto Kasane to the Saki Kasane are more well balanced. Tsuba 7.45 centimeters of diameter. Habaki, it's a classic regular gold, brass gold Habaki, but I like it. Sepa, it's the little pieces, gold pieces that will keep tight the Habaki to the tsuba. They are nice. The length of the Tsuka is 28.4 centimeters. I prefer short Tsuka because it's more close from the Japanese model of size Tsuka. Kashira is a black Kashira. Menuki is a gold kind of dragon Menuki. I like it. It's beautiful. Samegawa real ray skin. I'm not sure. I think it is, but because of the paint on the ray skin, it was a bit like plastic, but I'm not sure. I'm sure that it's not a premium ray skin. The Ito is really well tight, so that's fine, but I think it's an artificial material and it's a little bit sad for the touch of the Tsuka, so I'm not crazy of putting some artificial Ito. Cotton is not so expensive and it's work really fine. The Fuchi is a black regular Fuchi in metal, I think. And now Tsuka Koguchi test. Does the Koguchi fit well with the Habaki? Yes. Not perfectly. It could be better, but it works fine. It keep correctly. The Habaki fit correctly to the saya, to the Koguchi. The saya is quite classic. It's a lac saya. But there is something a little bit original, quite original, on this model from Ronin Dojo Pro. The Koguchi is with buffalo horn. Especially, they put this for more expensive model. So you can see the buffalo horn on the Koguchi. There is a double layer of wood, like a beautiful Koguchi saya on Anwe brand. The Kurikata Shitodome Kurikata is with a buffalo horn. It's really nice for this first price model, but they didn't put some glue on the Shitodome, and I didn't like it. They could finish the work. I didn't have the time to put some glue and to fix it, so I practiced with it. It's not good because it can damage the Kurikata horn buffalo Kurikata. The Kojiri is in buffalo horn too. There's 3 parts of buffalo horn are quite nice on that saya, from what I think. The Sageo is with artificial material. I don't like it. It's too cheap. Sorry, but it's my opinion. It's too cheap, and even Yarino Anzo has, I think, better artificial material. The shaking test was good, but the problem with the shaking test is that there is no sounds of the blade hitting the saya, but I think there is a tissue in it, and it's full of glue because of the saya on the blade, and this is really not appreciable. I had multiple cleanings on the blade, and every time there is many glue on it, and it takes many more time to clean it, and it's not good for the blade, so I don't appreciate that at all. The Shinonome katana cover is an artificial. This one is a little bit too cheap for me. Anwe with artificial material has better tissue too. This one is a little bit too cheap for me. So all the measurements are here, and you can see that they are quite the same, almost on all the numbers than the practical GL. Paper test. So, you know guys that I'm not crazy about 1060 carbon steel, because there is a huge difference between 1060 and 1095. Yes, it cuts well the paper, but not as well as the 1095. It's like the 1095 is a string and the 1060 is a violin. The sound has a little bit opposition of force between the materials because there is a lack of density on 1060. And I think there is another good example that we all know an everyday situation is when you cook. When you cook with aluminum, you can't make a good food as a cook that you will make with a cast iron pan. So if you cook with a cast iron pan, you will have a really different taste. So if you make a great meal with aluminum or with cast iron pan, the result will be really different. So I think it's a good example to understand the difference between the steels, because there is a huge difference between the three steels, the three basic steels, 1045, 1060 and 1095. There is a difference of touching, like a taste with the food, and there is a difference of sounds. The two first steel are scratchy, and the third one is fluid. It sings fluid and clear with the 1095. Now drawing the swords and omote cutting test. That sword has really good measurements, exception made for the weight, but it should be more easy to move for my size than the Prague GL. And it was not really the case. I had a proper handling of the Tsuka, of course, because it was the proper Nagasa, but the cuts were not as interesting as I thought it could be. So I was trying to understand and use the shinken the best I can, but for my first batodo cut, it was just not cutting. Second cut the same. So I tried to increase the speed, a better joints tension, and a better angle. Every shinken has a special feeling. Make you have a special feeling when you get it in the hand for the first time. You know on the first moment if it's working with your morphology or if there is something that doesn't fit well. It's like there is something that's quick. So now I recalibrate and I had one batodo clean, one hand cut. Of course, cleaning the blade is important. It preserves your blade. So I was not feeling so quite confident with that sword because I was feeling that materials may be a little bit cheap or the design, the inside design. I mean, the weight distribution, the dynamics. I mean, if the sword was 1000 grams, it could be really better, I think, in my opinion. I had at least good cuts, correct cuts, but it was with John Lee Omote. With John Lee Omote, it was really more easy to have correct cuts. Really more difficult with the Mugendachi Omote. So I was lucky on that double cut because it was flipping in the air. That means that the first cut was not enough clean. But it was a really small peg, so not easy for cutting with so lack of inertia. With Mugendachi, the Ronin Dojo Pro was a huge challenge. It was difficult, really difficult. Mugendachi Omote have so much density. They take so much water and they are really heavy. They don't have so much volume, but they are really, really heavy. Really difficult one-hand cut, Johogiri cut, but we can see at the end of the flipping in the air omote parts, it was cut, but it was difficult to cut with one hand. I tried to increase speed, but with Mugendachi on one hand cut, it was difficult. It's quite logical. We will see that on the next episode with the Ronin Dojo Pro versus Prague John Lee, Prague GL. but the density of the sword and the density of the omote make many things. I think this one was a John Lee omote, and it was really easier. Fluid. Because if the omote has less density and the blade is a 1060 less density, it works. But if you have a target that has a really important density and your sword is medium steel, it's really difficult. You have to just increase the speed. This is the only thing you can do. And of course, a really correct angle. But correct angle doesn't make everything. It's the first step. Then you need to have the proper speed for having the proper power, transferring mass, and the target, the density of the target will be important for the result. So I had difficulties for double cut, obviously, with Mugendachi. So it was interesting. I had to be more focused, more precise for having any result, any good result. But I was not so much enjoying the moment with that shinken, with double cuts, with batodo cuts, and with the Mugendachi cuts. It was a bit too much difficult, from my opinion. It's important to be focused, but it is important to feel the moment. And I was too much focused to just go through the material, the hard material, because it's Mugendachi are really good, but they are really hard targets, in my opinion. Increasing the speed for precision cut, but at least I had a couple of good precision cuts with that shinken from Ronin Dojo Pro. Another thing, a little detail, I won't complain about it, but the engraved tsuba scratched my hands a little bit with the movement, and it was not quite comfortable. It's not so important, but it was not so much painful, but it scratched the hands, the skin. So I prefer when it's more comfortable. Still a Mugendachi. This cut will be really interesting. I changed the peg. It's a small peg. It's not a medium. It's not a large. It's not an extra large. So the inertia is not really important, and it's on the horizontal part of the stand, so it decreases the inertia too. So there is not so much density right now. There is not so much inertia right now, and I will make a double cut. So the first one was correct. The second one too, but because I strike the third part of the omote, it broke the peg and the horizontal part of the stand moved. And the fact that it moved is not good. So I will have to practice with a medium peg. The small peg is a bit not giving me enough inertia. And I will practice double cuts with the vertical part of the stand and not with the horizontal part, because for the moment my angles are not enough good, and because the target has too much density and the sword has not enough density. Those 4 factors were not really good for making such double cut with the correct safety situation. So that's it for today. We will see the next cut with the Prague GL versus Ronin Dojo Pro. The swords result for Ronin Dojo Pro: Nagasa 7 on 10, sharpness 6 on 10, weight 5 on 10, grip 6 on 10, steel 5 on 10, practical yes but 5 on 10, balance 5 on 10, sturdiness 6 on 10, design 7 on 10, materials I think it's real ray skin but I'm not sure, it's 5 on 10, good value for money 5 on 10. I didn't have a great experience from my perception, my opinion, but for beginners it's working for making simple cuts, so I think it's still a practical sword. It's 300 euros in USA and 500 euros for Europe. I think for US the cost is more interesting. Dear Ronins, thank you for having watched this episode. I hope you liked it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And see you soon for a new episode with the Ronin Dojo Pro versus Prague GL on Ronin Hood.